What if I told you the golden era of muscle cars might already be over, and we didn't even notice? This video breaks down the quiet decline of America's loudest cars, from showroom sales to shifting enthusiast trends. Muscle cars are still here, technically, but what they represent, that's changing fast. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see exactly how and why muscle cars are becoming the dinosaurs of the car scene. Alright, close your eyes for a second. Actually, don't. You're watching a video. But imagine this. It's a warm Saturday morning, sometime around 2005. You're at your local small-town car show. The parking lot is packed. Folding chairs line the cracked pavement. There's a hot dog stand somewhere in the distance. And the smell? It's equal parts burned rubber, barbecue, and whatever wax they use to polish that mint-condition 69 Chevelle SS parked under a droopy American flag. You walk past a row of chrome-covered classics. Mustangs, Chargers, Camaros, engines still ticking from the ride in. An older guy in cargo shorts is telling a teenager, "Back in my day, cars weren't just fast, they had soul." You don't know whether to nod or roll your eyes, but you know one thing for sure. This was the golden age of muscle cars, or at least it felt like it. Now jump to today, same town, same parking lot, but the vibe? It's different. Fewer people, more space between the cars. The DJ booth is now just a Bluetooth speaker duct-taped to a folding table. And that same guy from earlier? Still there, just grayer. Telling a different teenager, they don't build them like they used to. And the teenager? He's probably thinking, I'd rather be at a JDM meet. So what the hell happened? See, muscle cars weren't just vehicles. They were an identity. Loud, heavy, aggressive, unapologetic. These weren't cars you drove. They were cars you commanded. The rumble of a V8 wasn't just sound, it was attitude. The longer the hood, the more respect you got. The less practical the car, the cooler you looked. But somewhere between rising gas prices, climate awareness, and the rise of digital car culture, that identity started to crumble. We didn't stop loving performance. We didn't stop loving cool cars. We just started loving different cars. Cars that rev high instead of deep. Cars with more computing power than personality. Four-cylinder turbos, dual-clutch gearboxes, hybrids, even, brace yourself, EVs. And the most unexpected part? They're fast, like really fast. So suddenly, that old-school muscle car rumble, it stopped being a flex. It started sounding like a fossil. Not bad, just out of touch. And that's where things start to get interesting. To understand what really happened to muscle cars, we need to rewind, not just to the 60s or 70s, but to the 90s, because that's when everything started to shift, quietly, silently even, with a little turbo whistle in the background. The 1990s brought something to American streets that most folks weren't ready for. Japanese imports, smaller, lighter, more efficient, and, let's be honest, way more fun than anyone expected. Cars like the Nissan 240SX, Toyota Supra, Mazda RX-7, Mitsubishi Eclipse, and of course, the Honda Civic Type R. Suddenly, these quirky, high-revving machines were doing things people only thought muscle cars could do. Only, they were cheaper, lighter, and didn't guzzle gas like a frat boy at a tailgate. And here's where it gets spicy. They were mod-friendly. Like, Lego for grown-ups, mod-friendly. Instead of restoring an old Impala for the price of a kidney, you could pick up a Civic off Craigslist for a few grand and slap on a turbo, coilovers, and a big ol' wing. And boom, instant street cred. Was it pretty? Not always. But was it yours? Every bolt. Now add in pop culture. In 2001, The Fast and the Furious hit theaters like a nitrous blast to the face. Suddenly, everyone wanted a Supra. Everyone wanted neon underglow. And just like that, the new poster cars weren't American muscle. They were Japanese imports with JDM badges, mismatched wheels, and 6-foot-tall spoilers. Meanwhile, muscle cars? They started to feel like your uncle's hobby. Loud, proud, and a little stuck in the past. And here's the twist you didn't see coming. It wasn't just about the cars. It was about the community. The JDM scene didn't just offer speed, it offered belonging. Street meets, forum posts, DIY culture. Everyone was learning, modding, breaking, fixing, together. It wasn't about showing off what you bought, it was about building what you loved. Compare that to the muscle car world, which, let's be real, started to get a bit gatekeepy. If you didn't have a 70s classic or didn't know carburetor specs off the top of your head, people looked at you sideways. And when a culture starts to push people out instead of pull them in, it starts to shrink. So while the JDM scene exploded with young blood, the muscle car scene started aging out, literally. And that's not a diss, it's just the natural cycle of car culture. Every era has its rise, its peak, and eventually, its handoff. Alright, so now we're in the present day, and here's where it gets messy. Because muscle cars didn't exactly disappear, they just changed. Or maybe, depending on who you ask, they sold out. Let's take the new Mustang as Exhibit A. On paper, it still looks the part. Big aggressive front grille, rear-wheel drive, burnout button, even a V8 option if you've got the budget. But scroll down the spec sheet and, what's this? A 4-cylinder turbocharged EcoBoost? Wait, a Mustang with a 4-banger? That's not muscle, that's confusion on wheels. Now don't get it twisted. The EcoBoost is quick. It'll dust older V8s in some cases, but it's not about raw numbers. It's about vibe, the sound, the smell, the attitude. And when you lose that, even a fast car can feel kinda soulless. Same goes for the new Dodge Charger. Sure, you can still get a Hellcat with enough horsepower to fry your tires in 3 zip codes, but Dodge just announced they're going electric. Like full EV muscle cars. They even released a fake exhaust sound system to try and keep the vibe alive. Let me repeat that. They're literally faking the engine noise. That's like serving a steak that looks grilled but tastes like tofu. So now we're stuck in this weird in-between zone. Muscle cars are still around, but what they represent, that's fading. One side says, adapt or die. The other says, if it's not a naturally aspirated V8 with a manual, don't talk to me. And stuck in the middle, a bunch of confused car buyers trying to figure out what a muscle car even is anymore. Because let's be real, is it still a muscle car if it's quiet, if it's got a 4-cylinder, if it's electric, if it drives itself? The lines are blurring. Fast. And while performance is technically better than ever, 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, launch control, track modes, it all starts to feel sterile, like we engineered the fun out of it. So now, we've got a generation of younger drivers who never grew up wrenching on an old Trans Am. They don't care about camshafts or straight pipes, they care about tech, design, brand, and whether the car looks good on TikTok. And you can't really blame them, because that's where the culture moved, and culture always wins. So here we are, standing at the edge of what muscle cars used to be and what they might become. And honestly, it's hard not to feel a little conflicted. Because muscle cars aren't totally dead. They're just evolving, slowly, awkwardly, and sometimes painfully. Like watching your favorite punk band go mainstream and start doing acoustic sets. Same name, totally different vibe. The question now isn't, are muscle cars dying? It's, what even is a muscle car anymore? Is it still about that big, naturally aspirated V8, the long hood, the rear-wheel drive burnout machine? Or is it more about the spirit, power, presence, and a little bit of recklessness, even if it's packed into a battery-powered platform? Because let's be honest, there are modern cars that still slap. The Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat still roars like an actual demon. The Camaro ZL1, a beast on the track. The Mustang GT, still a banger for the price. These cars exist, but they're also on the clock. With every passing year, more emissions rules, more EV mandates, more market shifts, and fewer people buying them. And here's the gut punch. Most of the people who love classic muscle cars, they're aging out, not just of the hobby, but of driving altogether. That generation of wrenchers, racers, and weekend warriors is shrinking, fast. Meanwhile, a whole new crowd is coming in, and they want something else. They don't dream of swapping out a carburetor. They dream of downloading a tune over Wi-Fi. And honestly, can you blame them? Life moves fast. Gas is expensive. Cars are smarter now. Convenience matters. People want instant performance. Muscle used to be earned, now it's downloaded. But maybe, just maybe, there's still hope. Because while the form of the muscle car is changing, the feeling it gives you, that might still survive. The thrill, the torque, the connection to something a little dangerous. If automakers can bottle that, in a new way, the muscle car might not be dying at all. It might just be mutating. And sure, it won't be the same. It won't sound the same. It probably won't smell the same. But if it can still make your heart race and your palms sweat, then maybe that's enough. Maybe muscle cars aren't dead. Maybe they're just shedding their skin. So, are muscle cars dying? Well, kinda. The old school, gas-guzzling beasts we grew up loving? Yeah, they're on their way out. But the spirit of muscle, the power, the attitude, the fun, that's still alive. It's just taking a different shape. We've seen how the culture shifted, how the rise of imports, tech, and younger generations changed the game, and how the definition of muscle car is now more blurred than ever. But here's the thing, car culture isn't dying, it's evolving. And whether you love the rumble of a V8 or the silence of an electric burnout, what really matters is the passion behind the wheel. So, what do you think? Is this the end of muscle cars, or just a new chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what muscle means to you. And hey, if this video gave you something to think about, hit that like button, subscribe for more Gearhead deep dives, and share it with someone who still swears the '69 Charger was peak humanity. Until next time, keep your tires warm, your mind open, and remember, it's not just about what you drive, it's about why you drive. Peace.